if you see, for example, Formula One, they are really aware of how much important it is to communicate online. But
Right.
in motorbike, I don't want to say any name right now because there is a very important person of a big team in the MotoGP Championship that I became friend with in 2016. And talking about giving me a chance in that team, he told me like, but okay, you can do social networks, you can do press releases, but can you find me some new sponsors? And I was like, and that's not my job.
Okay, Marco Santini, I'm super excited for you to be on the podcast today. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Hi, Eric, and thank you for inviting me to this podcast. So it's a pleasure for me to be here.
Yeah, no worries. I met you via social media, via Instagram. I think you liked a couple of my posts from Energica with
Yes.
Valario, and we started chatting offline through WhatsApp. And I found you to be a very, very interesting person. I think what you
Thank you.
do is one of the cooler jobs, I would say, out there. It's definitely cooler than my day job. So I definitely wanted to talk to you. Now, before we go on, why don't you explain to me what your current role is in regards to racing?
Okay, so my role is into communications. So technically, I'm an e-mobility communication specialist, which mean I'm into the electric mobility world, which is something that it's like we are creating it from scratch until
Mm,
the last few years because it's something that is new to everyone. So I think that our job is try to make most of the people understand that and electric mobility is the future, but most importantly, can be the present. Not for everyone, maybe, but we are working on it. That's what we are trying to do, to let everyone understand that an electric switch, it's not something bad, but it's something that good both for the planet than for every one of us, because it's like it's gonna be a game changer. It's like when
mm,
you switch from a normal telephone to a smartphone. It's something like that. Everything
right.
changes. It's not so easy at the beginning, maybe, or not for everyone at least, but it's something that if you try to do it, you're not coming back. That's what I can say from car side.
Right.
I drive every day a Nissan Leaf, and
Okay.
I definitely wouldn't come back to a classic car. And maybe I will do that in the future, the same for a bike, which is something
Now,
I want to do. But I mean, it's something that I'm working on it. I mean, it's not something that you can do for into every day if you're not prepared. So I'm living in Rome, in Italy, and it's very hot right now. I don't know if you can see that I'm really, I'm
right.
really suffering from really hot temperature. So sorry for
Yeah.
that.
Oh, no worries.
Maybe
So
it's not
let
going
me
to be
ask you
so
this.
great to see, but I mean, so yes, sorry, I went over for the question,
No, it's
but
all good. All good.
actually, yes, I'm into the communication stuff in NLX,
Okay,
which
let me ask you this. Hold on.
yes,
So electric mobility, just to explain everybody, for
yes.
everyone, are you guys concentrated on the battery side of an electric car, or is it a charging through transmission? How much of NL works for electric mobility? Is it just concentrated on batteries?
Okay, no, we are not into batteries. We are into chargers because Enel has a story in Italy from the electric for everyone. So I
Mm,
mean, when Italy was after the war, was a country where everything was to be created from zero.
mm,
Enel was the company from the state which put the electric electricity to everyone. But after that, they evolved. It became a private company, and they went for acquisition all over the world. So
Mm,
it's now one of the biggest utilities in the world, and they had a great vision to understand that electricity is quickly changing. So it's important to become as green as possible, and it's important to understand that electric mobility is going to be a thing in really short time for everyone. So as I told you before, so they created Enel X to be a global company that is going to give customer, which is both, I mean, every one of us, but also big companies, to give the best solution as possible to charge their car, to charge their bike, both on a public side and on a private side. So if you have a
mm.
garage, you need um, an object to charge as best as possible, you know, because if we talk about bad myths about electric mobility, everyone is thinking that it's really slow to charge a bike or to charge a car, and we want to make understand that it's not that true. There are
Mm.
solutions to charge very fast. There are situations where you can, for example, charge the car during the night. So you always have a fully charged car or bike when you wake up in the morning, like you do with the smartphone, for example. So there are a
Right.
lot of, I mean, maybe it's not already for everyone, but for most of the people, electric mobility is already the thing to do to
Yeah,
switch as quickly as possible. So NLX is creating those chargers,
I see.
and for sure we have to work together with motorbike companies and with cars manufacturer to create solution that work better, because you know every car, every bike is different. They are using different technologies because there is not already just one standard at this time.
Yeah.
Everything is evolving so fast, and we gotta do the same. So every
What
year, different products for different people.
what is the fastest charging car today? Is it the Tesla or is it the Porsche Taycan?
Well, I think they're both going into the 350 kilowatts speed. So,
Okay.
you know, for example, here in Europe, there is the Ionity chargers, which are, if you know, Ionity is a company which is like a joint venture from big companies from the automotive side, mostly from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And they are creating this thing together, and they're using companies like Enel X, for example, to have chargers as fast as possible. So, for example, I can tell for the Italian side, the Ionity chargers are provided from Enel X, and they're going into 350 kilowatts. Which, if you think that 350 kilowatts in 1 hour, and most of the car is under the 100 kilowatts, it means that with a charger like that, you can just take a coffee in the bar and your car is charged. So, you
Right.
know, it's not that slow. It's
Right.
something
Right.
that
Right.
everyone can handle. For
Yeah.
sure, at the moment, you don't find too many Ionity chargers in Italy because it's really expensive to build one and to everything you can easily imagine, but it's something that will be easier year after year.
Yeah, what is the holy grail? What is the ideal time it takes for a battery to charge? I mean, if I'm thinking about my petrol car, like my gas car, right? Under 3 minutes. Okay. And I don't know if you remember, this may be about 5 years ago, Tesla had a presentation where they had like a little robot skid where it would drive under the car and change out a battery in
Yeah,
around the same time it took to fill up for a petrol vehicle, right? Obviously, there's a little bit of camera play there. It's not really that fast, I'm sure. But the litmus test is if we can charge under 5 minutes to get a good amount of range. We're talking about 5 to 600 kilometer range. I think that's when the big conversion will happen, right? Because right now, even you said earlier you drove a Nissan Leaf. Even that takes 45 minutes to get up to 80%. And 80% on a Nissan Leaf, if you don't have the Nissan Leaf Plus and you have the regular Nissan Leaf, that only gives you about 200 kilometers, which, it's not
Yeah,
really that far.
correct.
So when can we expect a similar charging time to petrol fill up?
Okay, I will split my answer in two parts. The
Okay.
first one is like you talked about battery swapping, which is something really interesting.
Yeah.
But for sure, in this interview, I speak for myself, not
Of
for
course.
NLX.
Of
But
course.
I mean, I was really interested in this, but working in a company which is going in kind of another way, because NLX is not into battery swapping, but is into fast charging.
Sure.
I understood that there are some clear limitation into battery swapping, because no one in Europe or in the United States is developing battery swapping. The only big company who's trying to do that is NIO, which is like someone call it as the Chinese Tesla or something
Right, right,
like
right.
that,
Yeah.
and they created a route in China where you can when you can find all those robots that you were talking about. So it's already something happening, but the real problem is that just try to think about how many different cars you will have in a couple of years in the electric world. Everyone has a different part of the car where the batteries are located, and different capacities and different also how to say it, the way that they are connected into the car. So if you are Neo and you just have two cars in your that you are putting in the market, you can maybe create a dedicated robot which can do something like that. But
Yes.
it's very expensive and it's completely automated, so it can have a lot of problem into
Mm.
it if you're not putting the car in the perfect way. So it's something really cool to see, to view, but
Right.
I don't think it's going to be a thing into a couple of years.
And
And
I
when
agree
it's
with you.
going to be ready
Yes.
in a few years, maybe it's going to be too late, because that time that you are talking about, like 3 minutes to fully charge a Tesla or a Nissan Leaf, it's something that it's going to happen, I think, very soon, which is not
Oh,
tomorrow, which is not in a year, but maybe I can say into 5 years. I think we can
oh,
have something like that. Not for everyone, for sure. I'm not going to say that everyone will have the a car that will support that, or chargers everywhere in the public to do that. But I think there will be the technology. That's what I
right.
want to say. Because
Right.
as we already talked about, today we can already charge at 350 kilowatts. So
Yeah.
I think if you think about how fast it's evolving, in maybe not 5 years for everyone, but I think that in 10 years it's going to be something that you can have. um, I mean, I will bet of it. I will put
Yeah.
my money on it. I'm sure that it will happen, and it's gonna be a thing for sure.
That, yeah, that's amazing.
I really believe in it. I mean, something I'm really proud of is that when I had a call from an LX to work with them, I was excited because electric mobility is something that I really believe in it. So I don't have to force myself into something that I don't think. They just give me the possibility to see from the inside what's gonna happen, and this is also why I'm so confident, because I can see all those project they're working about. I think it's going to be really, really exciting in the couple of next year.
Right now, NL and NLX, they produce chargers for the Moto E grid, right? Is my
Yes.
understanding correct? And right now they have a system where it's very portable, where you can hook it up to the bike. So as they're waiting for the race to start, they can still be charging the bike. Is that my understanding?
Yes. Actually, to give you a more complete vision regarding this.
Okay.
Enel X is at the moment the official smart charging partner for both Formula E and Moto E, which are the only two worldwide electric mobility championship, both for car or bike. So I think we can say that we are easily at the moment the worldwide leader into electric motorsport, which is something
Right.
I'm really proud of, because I'm also a huge fan of Formula One, MotoGP. So it's something that I really think that also there in a couple of years we will be at the same level of technology and of speed of them. So it's going to be really fun to see how things are going to be in a few years, if there's
Mm.
going to be a direct fight, or maybe if there is going to be some acquisitions, some fusions between different championships. It's going to be really interesting to see, because the competition is really tight. But switching back to Moto E, yes, there is technology that give you the way to charge also on the grid. So it's something that we should have from 2019.
Mm.
As Enel X, we decided to switch it to 2020, because there was some at the beginning of the year. Maybe you read it on the newspaper. I don't know how much resonance that news had, but
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year we were in Jerez de la Frontera in Spain, and we had the testing before the beginning of the Moto E season, which was something crazy, because just try to imagine the first ever test of electric motorbike for racing. It was something like I was there on the track. I was excited, like,
Yeah.
wait, man, I'm living the future. This is
Yeah.
something that never happened before, and I'm here on track to see that with my eyes. I was really excited, like a kid. But the following morning, I woke up from. I mean, this is really crazy to tell you. I woke up from a colleague that was calling me on the phone, and I was like, "Hey, man, how you doing? You're already on track. It's really. I mean, it was like 6 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning. It was
Wow.
really." And he told me, "Well, I think there is not going to be any testing today." And I was like, "What? Why?" And he just told me everything caught up fire during the night.
Oh
And I was
my.
like, "What? You really?"
Wow.
So I went to the truck as fast as I could, and I found that everything burned. It was like just there was nothing. Just try to
Wow.
imagine that we had a dedicated part of the paddock just for the electric motorbikes,
Yeah.
and it totally disappeared during the night.
Now, it's electrical fires a lot. Does it burn longer and hotter than a regular fire? Is that why?
It's more or less. It's quicker. It's
It's
quicker.
quicker. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
quicker because it's like
Because it's harder to put out, right?
yeah. Just think about the battery that you have on a smartphone and the tablet, because the technology is more or less the same.
Mm.
And it's like I'm not a technician. I'm not an engineer. So sorry if I say anything incorrect. But as I try to understand things, the lithium it's really fast when it caught fire, because it's like the cells that are inside. It's like a chain reaction.
Uh,
So
okay.
it's hard to let it caught fire, but when the fire starts, you cannot stop it. That's something they
Interesting.
told me in the track. You cannot stop it. So it's useless to try to use fire extinguishers or something like that, because classic products like that just doesn't work. You
Mm.
need specific fire extinguishers with some chemical products which are different
Right.
from the normal one. But most of the time, you just don't stop the fire.
Now,
You
is that
just
part of
you just
is
have
that
to let it burn, because
right?
it's too strong, the reaction, the chain reaction. It gives a big fire at the beginning, then it quickly go down. That's
Yeah,
the problem. It's
but
just too
but
fast at the beginning.
yeah, but that also causes a secondary issue if you could make other things catch on fire. If you've got a stack of paper, for example. So, is there protocol in
That's
place?
exactly what happened.
Mm.
I
Okay.
mean, there was during the night there was a fire from I don't really know, to be honest, how it ended up, because there was a process, of course, in Spain to try to understand the real reason, because there were a lot of things right there that could caught fire.
Mm.
And also there were a lot of people, if I may say, that think that maybe someone from outside just um, entered during the night and put up fire, because it's hard to say it, but there are also a lot of person in the world who doesn't want an electric revolution.
Right. No,
So
I understand. Yep.
I'm not saying that there was someone who put fire to the bikes, to the chargers, and so on, but it's something that I can't really exclude.
Of
It's a possibility.
of course, I understand. So let
So
yep.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Just to conclude what you were correctly saying, the fact is that from one bike or one charger, we don't know how it exactly is. I mean, I do not know how it started. Everything caught fire. So we had 20 bikes on fire, 20 chargers on fire, and all
Oh
the
man.
stuff from the motorbikers. So like the helmets, the suits, everything.
Yeah.
Just try to imagine
Does
millions and
that
millions.
yeah. Does that change the way you guys set up now to kind of prevent that? So maybe if you segregate one bike, one set of clothing,
Yes.
blah blah blah, so that if one catches on fire, it can't spread.
Yes, to be honest, we did every research as possible inside Enel X, and also working with Energica, because there was a strong collaboration between the two companies to try to understand. But for what I know, there was not just one reason that we found
Mm,
to understand what happened. That's
sure.
also why I'm thinking that it may be something from outside. But anyway, we changed some of the safety procedure,
Okay.
because for sure Dorna, which is the company that is behind MotoGP and the Moto E Championship, they wanted something 100% safe. So they're
Of course.
saying, I think you did all correct, but if we can do something to have some extra safety
Mm.
measure, that's something that we wanted you to do, at least for the first season, because it's something new for
Right.
everyone.
Makes
So
sense.
what we did was two things. The first one is to create what we called e-paddock. So we at the beginning we thought that Moto E would be inside the box with MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3 racer. Then we thought it was better for the first year at least to have a dedicated area in the paddock,
Mhm.
which is the paddock. So we are on our own, you know.
Yep.
So you have to do like 100 meter from the from the classic paddock,
All
and
right.
we installed right there all the chargers and all the dedicated box. So it's an extra effort from the organization, from both from Dorna, then from Enel X, from Energica, from a logistic side. It's really crazy every weekend, and. And we also thought that for the first year it was better not to introduce what you were talking before. Sorry if it was so
No,
long
no,
to
it's all
do,
good. It's all good.
but
Yep.
there is a product which is called Juice Roll, which is the one that you were talking about, which is a charger that is so quick and so light that you can just you can take it with you in the grid and give it
Mm.
an extra charge for the bike. Because if you do, for example, a sighting lap, you lose
Of
a
course.
lot of
You lose a
battery.
little bit. Sure.
So you can recharge to have like one extra lap, two extra lap. That's what we wanted to do from season one. Then after everything happened, after Dorna wanted to have some extra safety measure, and they were, I mean, I think they were right to want to have some more strict measure, because it's not for the damage itself, it's for the, I mean, as a communication specialist, I can say that there are too many people right now who don't believe in electric mobility. So
Mm.
if you start with some bad thing happen on track, people would just say, "You see,
Yeah, I
it
told you
doesn't
so.
work. I told
Right,
you
right,
so."
right,
So
right.
we don't want that to happen. So if we think that it could be more difficult, it's like, okay, one step at a time. For season one, we just want you to enjoy racing, enjoy
Right.
electric racing, and to see that it's as fun as the classic racing. Then from
Yep.
season two, which is, we are waiting to start. If just this COVID disappear as fast as possible, we will start in 3 weeks in Spain, and in that occasion, we will also have what you were talking about. So the chance to give an extra charge during the grid procedure.
Right.
So it's going
Now,
to happen. The technology, I have to tell you, was already ready last year. It was tested in Valencia
mm,
in the last race of the season one. But for season two, I can definitely say that it's going to be. We're going to have longer races, which
okay.
is
Oh,
what
which is good.
people care about.
Right. Now, season one, I think it was total of 5 races. How
Six
many?
races.
6 races.
Six.
Okay, 6. And then for season two, I know now we're more of a condensed racing time. If there is going to be racing, and it sounds like there is, how many races are you going to have for this year?
That's that's a really difficult question to answer because it's like everything is evolving day by day.
Sure.
So the original calendar was from 7 races, so
Okay.
one more than last year. Right
Yes.
now, I really do not know. I do not know because they are announcing new races every week
Right.
as far as they see how the situation evolve in a country or in another, if there are second waves of the coronavirus or not. So it's impossible to say it right now. I mean,
Mm,
it could be 4 races, it could be 6, 8. Impossible for me to say exactly. I
right.
think we hope that at least the summer would be safe, so
Mm,
maybe 3, 4 races. I don't know. I don't know how it is actually where you live regarding the coronavirus evolution. Now I think you're gonna tell me, but right here in Italy, the situation is getting really, really better.
okay.
So what these experts are telling us into television is that situation is now great. For sure, we have to continue with social distancing and so on,
Yeah.
but everything is slowly going back to normal. People
Yeah.
in the last few weeks are everyone is going to the sea. Seaside are full like last year. But the fact is, we are really worried to what is going to happen in the autumn,
Mm,
because what experts are saying into television right now is that we are doing everything we can, but the thing is that summer is helping a lot
right.
because the high temperatures, the humidity level is something that helps COVID from not spreading that fast. So
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know if it's something because I was what is I'm wondering if the information that we are getting into this coronavirus are the same in every country. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I'm trying every day to search into US website, UK website. I mean, where there are different information, because it's
Yeah.
like in Italy, what's really uh, into this moment, into the experts' ideas, is that summer is okay, autumn is going to be really bad.
Yeah.
So we are going to work as right now. If you want
Yeah.
to not have a bad autumn like the past few months, so it's like to having more intensive career as possible, but also more testing as possible. Those 3T,
Yeah.
testing, tracing, and everything else.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to also for organizers like Dorna, as we said, because how can you say exactly right now if you're going to have 5 races, 10 races, 20 races?
Mm.
Impossible, impossible.
Impossible. Correct. Of course. Yeah, I think over here in North America, let's start with North America
Yeah,
because, Canada's much smaller. In the States, there's definitely a resurge.
yeah.
There's more, right? There's more of an outbreak. Um, I think it really just comes down to common sense. And unfortunately, like, not that I'm social distancing. I still haven't gone out. I still work from home every day. I don't go to, there's no office to go back to right now for me.
Same
So I'm
here.
doing, right. So I'm doing all the correct things, right? But I think it just comes down to general common sense. I'll give you an example. Over here in Toronto, where I'm from, Toronto, Canada, there is a park in downtown. Just like most countries, most big cities, you know, park is a very premium thing. Like having green space, having trees is a very premium area when you live downtown. We all know this. So
Yep.
there's a place downtown. I think it's called Bellwood Park or Bell something Park. I don't remember. Anyways, where on the first nice day in Toronto there was like 1,000 people all in a park. And this is still in May. So this is still in the height of coronavirus. And what the city ended up doing was they spent money and they drew circles. They painted white circles on the grass that were 6 feet apart or 2 meters apart. Right. And I'm like, what a giant waste of my tax dollar. Right. We're mostly adults. We're old enough to know what 2 meter or 6 feet is like, right? Like we all conceptually can tell what that is. Why am I spending money to draw these circles that I know nobody's gonna follow? Are you gonna take you and your girlfriend, or if you're married, you and your family, and sit in a circle and do nothing else? Like that's a crazy idea, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And yet, and it's because we just don't, we refuses to use common sense. That's what kills me about this whole pandemic. Like if you're young and you're healthy and you don't have any pre-existing conditions, I think it's very okay for you to go out, have fun, enjoy life. Just make sure that you don't hang out with old people. You don't go back home to your grandparents. You don't go back home to your mom and dad who might be who might have diabetes or high blood pressure or autoimmune issues. Just don't do that. Stay away from them. And I think as long as you follow those protocols, you're good. The second thing is, being that I'm Chinese and I'm Asian, you know, we are a big fan of the mask. Like in Hong Kong, there's like, I don't know, 10 million people living in a very, very small space in the size of Rome. I'm exaggerating. I don't know the actual comparison, but a lot of people in a very, very small space. We've had flus and common colds for the longest time. And if you're sick, you put on a mask. If you don't feel comfortable, you put on a mask. And that eliminates a lot of this, you know, way of catching things. So I don't know. It's not good. We
Okay.
for us in Toronto, in Ontario, it's a province. It's actually gone down quite a lot. I think we're under 200 new cases a day, and we're doing more testing than ever. So that's a good thing. Um, I also think that I think it's going to mutate. I think
Uh,
that, like what you're saying, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a scientist. I'm not anybody smart, but I think it will mutate, and I think it's something we're going to have to live with over time.
I don't know this because, to be honest, it's not exactly what the Italian experts are saying at the moment. Maybe I just want to clarify it better. They're not saying that it's going to mutate, but it's that it's seasonal.
Mm,
That's what they say.
mm,
So they say, like normal flu, you don't get it in the summer, but when we are going to be into the end of the autumn, beginning of the winter, there is going to be a lot of new cases because
mm,
it's becoming endemic.
mm.
So it's something that we have to prevent by keeping social distancing, keeping testing as much as we can, and just waiting for a vaccine.
Yeah, I don't I and
So it's like, the crazy communication right here is that they are saying, like, okay, enjoy summer because autumn is going to be a lot worse, but they're also saying, no, do not enjoy summer because you have to keep social distancing, because you have to you cannot go to the stadium, to concerts, and everything you normally do in the summer. So it's really hard right here. And also because, as you were correctly saying, we are not used to masks. I mean,
mm,
there are really, I'm what I'm seeing around, crazy thing, because anyone brought the mask because you have to, but it's like under the nose or under the.
yes,
I
yes,
mean,
yes, yes,
it's nonsense. Come on,
yes,
guys.
yes. I
Or
again,
you have to take the mask on. It's not that difficult.
yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, it's but I wanted to understand from you, because we hear every day on the news catastrophic things from the US, from the second wave and so on. But in Canada, you're telling me it's different.
Yeah, Canada's definitely now. You got to remember, we're probably 1/10 the population of the United States.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, but it's not about numbers, it's about the percentage. I mean,
percentage.
it's like that's
Yeah,
what bothered me.
right.
I
And
mean,
for us, it's at
it's
least
going
in
down. I mean,
yes,
you are flattening the curve.
obviously going down and not even flattening. It's a continuation in the last week. It's a continuation of a downward
Perfect.
trend, which is good.
Okay.
There, of course, other parts of the country. Canada is very, very big. Um, so you think of a large area of people like in British Columbia, which is on the very west side of the country. So if you see here, the way you're looking at it, this
Okay.
is the west side, this is the east side. We
Yes.
live around here in Toronto.
Okay.
There's a big community over here in British Columbia by the ocean. Um,
Okay.
they're also a lot less. In fact, they're down to like less than 100 new cases a day, in the whole province, right? And the province is big. So we're in a good state. And I don't know what the reason. I mean, obviously it's the social distancing that does help, right? One of the things that I tell in the very, very beginning, in late February, early March, we all talk about this and we still talk about it today. But I said, they figured out the AIDS, epidemic 20 years ago, right? When AIDS first came, they already knew how to solve it. Well, how do you solve it? You kill everybody with AIDS. If you got AIDS, we kill you. Guess what? There's no more spreading, right? And so I think definitely social distancing, putting a mask on helps because you are preventing the easy spread of the disease. And once you get better, you can't spread anymore. Perfect. What comes down to it now is we don't know how long you have this immunity for. That's the biggest worry, right? Is can you get it again? In my mind, if you cannot, and I've said this in the podcast before, if you can't get it again, great. Have a volunteer of young people, older people, whatever, and say, guys, are you willing to gamble? Yes. We're going to lock you in a hotel. We'll give you food, water, everything else. You're going to get coronavirus. You're going to wait it out, battle it out. You'll get better in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. And then afterwards, you can be your workforce. You can be your engine. That job promotion you wanted, and you never got,
Yeah,
right? This is it.
could be a thing.
Right. So,
I don't know. That's the biggest question of all. I definitely agree with you. It's really something that we have to understand. I just read it something like maybe today that there was a Chinese study which they were saying that after just 3 months, those I don't know the word in English. I'm sorry. It's like those cells that you create after
the
you get
antibodies.
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 Sorry,
Yeah.
I
No,
didn't.
no, no, good.
Okay,
All good. All
so
good.
those antibodies is like that they were falling down so quick just after 3 months. But it's
Mm.
like, okay, this is maybe bad, but we have to understand what it means. It's like okay, they get into a low number, but they're still effective, or they're not.
Right. It's like the
That's
flu.
the question.
Exactly like the flu,
Yeah,
right? But you'll get it and then they'll just kind of go away for a bit.
who knows. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think that it's great for me to hear what you were telling about those great news from Canada, because it's like I think I don't want to say anything political right here, but I
Sure.
think that what's happening in the US is maybe also because they're not acting as well as we are doing. I mean,
Yeah.
if I have to be honest, if you exclude China, okay, they were the first one, okay, but the those information arriving from China are not are not so clear sometimes.
Of course. Of course. Yep. I
I'm
agree
not
with you.
saying that they're not okay,
They're
but I'm
probably
saying that
lying. You can say it.
they are not
I'll
as
say it for you.
transparent as
Yes.
the one that we are getting, for example, from Italy, from
Yes.
Spain, from
Yes.
UK, from US, and so on. The fact that in US they are having immediately a second wave, which is
Mm,
something that is not happening in every other big country in Europe, for example,
right.
and we have really similar way of life, if I can say it like that.
Yeah.
it keep me thinking that maybe they're doing something in worse than we are doing. For example, with lockdown, we were totally closed in Italy, totally closed for 2.5 months,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
While
Yes.
what I heard from the news is that in the US there were some states that they did never a complete lockdown, or it was just for a couple weeks, and that
Yeah.
they started reopening immediately, and something that for sure um, maybe helped the virus to survive inside the communities. But also the fact that I'm going to say something really, really hard, because uh, if you say something against the Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
it seems like you are so you're a racist because you're talking about against the movement. No, I'm not against the movement.
Sure.
Let me say this in the
Yep.
beginning,
Yep.
but I have to say, but maybe it was not the best time in history to do all this chaos. Maybe not. I mean,
Right.
to be honest, when I first heard the news of this big, a lot of people into the street I was like, no, please don't do it right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Do it
Let me
tomorrow.
yeah,
Do it
let
in a
me ask you
year,
this. Let me
not
ask
now.
you this. I think it comes down to culture and compliance. Okay, now I'm generalizing, I'm stereotyping. This is obviously not true for everybody. I'm not being racist, but the stereotype, and a lot of it is true, is if you look at the Chinese. Now I obviously I'm Chinese, but I'm from Hong Kong, okay? And as if you know,
Yeah.
traditionally speaking, when you from Hong Kong, you don't think of yourself as a Chinese guy from China, okay? In fact, we're like, oh no, dude, I'm not Chinese. Like I'm not that kind of Chinese, right? It's like you get this all over the world, right? Yeah, I'm Italian, but no, I'm Sicilian. I'm not really that kind of Italian, and vice versa. So you get that everywhere, okay? So yes, I'm Chinese, but I don't think I'm from China. Um, what I want to say is we are more compliant. We understand the need to be compliant when there's an actual need. In this case, social distancing, you really have to follow the rules. We may not like it, but we understand why we're doing it. And I think if there's a parallel, same thing with Italians. Again, I'm generalizing. Just like you guys, we live with our grandparents. You know,
Yes.
we live with our older people. It's actually very, very abnormal the fact that my parents don't live with me. They live in their own house, but they're at an age there where they could, right? So so that's what I'm trying to say. You understand why you needed to stay home and you needed to close your businesses, right? It was for you guys to stop the spreading to the elderly. Okay. In North America, less traditional Canadian. I don't want to talk about Canadian. Traditionally, Canadians don't live with their parents, don't live with the older people, right? And you can see this because in Toronto, a lot of the old folks home, a lot of the old age homes, a lot of people died. Like there would be like, I don't know, maybe like 50 people and like 26 people died. Something crazy. I think it was like an 80-person home, and out of the 80, like 26 died. I can't remember the ratio or the numbers, but a lot more than normal, right? And I think it's because we don't like that idea of compliance. We don't like the idea of going, well, you don't tell me what to do because this is a free country. And I think that mentality difference is what's causing, maybe North Americans to have a second wave early.
Yeah, maybe it's exactly like this, because it's, I mean, if we are always talking about social distancing, if we are under lockdown, if
Yeah.
you go thousands of people on the street by, I mean, a great reason to do that, but maybe the wrong time, you have a second wave. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, as I told you, I'm not a scientist, but
Right.
it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. During the lockdown, did you get people who were upset? Okay. So for example, let me back up. Right now we're allowed to go shopping, like grocery shopping or going to the hardware store to buy, like a screwdriver or whatever, okay? But you have to wait outside and it's always 2 meters or 6 feet apart.
Yes.
Now, when that started happening in the very, very beginning, even in March and in April, people would get very upset. They would swear at you, they would spit on you because you're just telling them, hey, we need 6 feet. Can you guys please step back? Did that happen over there? Did people get upset?
I mean, yes, but not too much. I mean, I've
Mm,
heard about things like that, but it was something really rare, and so it was going on. I mean, something so rare that they are talking about in the television, like
mm,
there was a bad situation in a city where people were raging in the street because of the measures. But most of the time, no, because as I was telling before, if you exclude China from the count, we in Italy were the real first country in the world
yeah.
to have a big outbreak. So we were totally unprepared, and we were like, okay, we do not know what to do. It was
Mm,
like everyone was going crazy. So
mhm.
I mean, fear was
Very high.
very high. So
Yep.
that's why we didn't have some bad situation on people that didn't want to respect the rules.
Mm,
Because, for example, maybe you know that in the southern Italy there are a lot of problems with criminality,
okay.
like mafia. Maybe you've heard about. I know
Okay.
they were created.
Right. Again,
Unfortunately,
stereotypes.
unfortunately, it's something that we exported around the world a lot of time ago. But I mean, there were, for example, a lot of concern about how those kind of people may have to face a situation like that. We were like, oh my God, now what's going to happen in certain regions of the southern Italy?
Yeah.
What's going to happen if a big outbreak happened there? How the people is going to face it? But to be honest, nothing bad happened here.
Mm,
Maybe we were also lucky because those areas are the hotter, talking about temperature in Italy. So
mm,
maybe there was also, if this is going to be confirmed, like something seasonal, when it happened in March, in April, it was already, they already had high temperatures in southern Italy. So maybe that helped. Also, I think something that helped is that it's there are not some all the international businesses are in the northern Italy.
okay.
So also all the link with the China where everything started are in the northern Italy,
Mm,
and that's why in the northern Italy they had a lot of deaths, too many deaths. But
mm.
if you go on in this, we were like, if you see the coronavirus maps in Italy, you have to imagine it like divided into three parts, like three countries.
Wow.
Northern Italy, where everything bad happened.
Yep.
In the center,
Yeah.
there were some region where they had high number, but it quickly fell down. And
Okay.
in southern Italy, it's like maybe a lockdown was even too much for them because
Oh,
they
wow.
have really little number.
Mm,
There are like
mm.
most of the region are zero cases from like April, May,
Wow.
but they still
Okay.
had all the lockdowns and so on.
Right.
So it was really strange also because there were a lot of people in Italy, like in the beginning of May, asking for a splitted reopening, like they did in Spain, for example. I knew that in Spain they had massive outbreaks into Madrid and Barcelona, the two main cities. But
Right.
in the rest of the country, the situation was far better, and that's what they did. They keep closed Madrid and Barcelona, and they started reopening in the rest of the country. But in Italy, they decided that we were like unite as one.
Right.
So if northern Italy still is into a bad situation, southern Italy has to wait. Uh, I
Yeah.
know it's. I don't know if it's good or not. If it's something wrong or they did it correctly. I mean, I think that what our president did in the last few months was a really good job because
Yes.
he faced an unprecedented situation
Yeah.
where no one knew what they had to do.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they decided to be strict with the measures, with the lockdown, and so on, that they prevented a lot more deaths. which is something that didn't happen, for example, in the United Kingdom or in the United States. And what's really give me the idea that it's crazy is that they just had to watch Italy and do the same. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't have anyone to look at. We just tried to be as more severe as possible with the laws and everything else. But there were
Yeah.
countries where they thought, no, it's just Italy. They're not able to do anything, so they're wrong. We don't need all those lockdowns and so on. Maybe just for once in our life, we were correct.
I don't know. That being said, and not that I'm not disagreeing with you, but sometimes I think that even the politicians, even the lawmakers,
Yeah.
don't have a clue. I'll give you a reason. Right now we're in phase two, even in my part of the city. Okay, we're in phase two of the back to normalcy, and that means that the playgrounds for kids are opened to some degree. Now, what doesn't make sense to me is the playground is not open, so you can't go on a swing, you can't go down a slide, you can't climb on those monkey bars or anything like that. They're still closed. But then right next to it, there's a water park, like a little water park with a couple of fountains that splashes water on you. That's completely open. It's right next door. So you're telling me kids can't swing, but they can all play in the water together. And maybe the coronavirus doesn't survive in water alone without soap, but sometimes I feel like there's like, well, we gotta open something. Let's just try it out and to see if it works. So I don't think people really have an idea,
To be
exact
honest,
idea.
we are having some problem like that also in Italy. For example, in Italy, everyone plays soccer. Okay,
Right. Of
so
course.
they can't wait to play soccer, and it's something they are trying to postpone as much as they can. But
Right.
the
As
people
much as I
the
can.
people is
Yeah.
going crazy because it's like we want to play soccer,
Yeah.
5 against 5 at least. Let us play,
Yes.
but they
Yes.
cannot. So you
Right.
can go to swim, you can do a lot of other things, but you cannot play soccer at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, the national championship restarted, but
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not talking about the professionalism. I'm talking about everyone life. If I want to play soccer with my friends outdoor,
Yes.
I cannot at the moment,
It's not
not
allowed.
yet.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
And I saw the minister of the sports politics and so on. He's trying. He has everyone against at the moment because he's trying. But I know that he's doing that for public health. It's not because he's
He doesn't
enjoying the
like
moment.
soccer. Of
No,
course. Yes.
but it's just that he's trying to postpone this as soon as he can.
Okay, so let's talk about pre-coronavirus. Let's talk about pre-COVID days, okay? Especially when it comes to motorcycle racing. Let's bring that back in a little bit. What is it like to move from one venue to another? So let's say Harath, right? You have your race and then you got to go to the next venue. How much of a logistic nightmare or logistic challenge do you have?
Well, it is a nightmare, but also because as we were saying before, it's everything new. Talking about electric bikes, electric chargers, so a lot of people do not know how to do that. Also,
Mm,
the movements from a venue to another, it's something that you have to rethink, to restudy, because it's like maybe for a reason of temperatures or of the how the product is made, the material, or the chemical reaction inside, and a lot of things that unfortunately I can tell you very well as I'm not an engineer, but they told me that it's all the procedure are completely different from the one that they are having like in MotoGP. So
mm,
this is another reason why, at least for season one, for safety measures, as I told you before, they are trying. They try to not having like races week after week, but maybe month after month, so they
right.
can have more time to move everything and to create those new e-paddock, as I was telling you, because it's like
Mm,
when the MotoGP, for example, arrives in the paddock, they find everything already into the boxes. They just have to bring the bikes and run,
right.
which is not what we can do, because it's not just bringing a charger, but you have to cable everything. Just
Yeah.
try to think that you have to connect to the electric facilities that you have on site, which can be different in every country, and maybe
Mm,
also the all the electric stuff right there. It's not always that new, because maybe those tracks are like 15 years old. So
mm.
uh, it's every weekend is a new challenge. So I saw a situation where my colleagues were working like from 5 in the morning to 2 in the night,
Wow.
and then starting back again because things were not working. But it's not. But the chargers are always the same, so it were not about our problems. It's that maybe the facilities that we found on a circuit were not so good, so it needed extra work.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, everything new. So logistics is more important than ever, because you have to use more time as you can to be sure that everything is going well, and that you can't be unprepared at the last day. So also as a workforce, I think that in the next few years, maybe less technician, less engineer would be required
Right.
in the site. But right now, from an Enel X side, but also from an Energica side, there were really a lot of people working right there, because they wanted everything to be as best as possible. Because as I told you before, no one at the moment could do the minimum error, because it would be a nightmare for everyone, because a lot of people is just waiting for that.
Yeah. They're just
There's a
waiting
lot
for
of
you to fail.
people. Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I mean, it's a very fun job, obviously. Maybe we can step back a little bit and talk about what is a press officer? What is it that you do day to day? Okay. And how did you get into such an amazing job? I mean, what was your
Okay.
experience like?
Okay. Just one thing before answering that. What I'm doing into NLX is not about the press office. It's
Okay.
more
Okay.
on the communication side, which is more about the organization of what you do on site during the weekend.
I
Because
see.
what you see is just like the a minimum part of our job. What you see on television during the race, when you see an NLX brand
Mm,
anywhere in the
mm,
venue. But you have to think that there are also, for example, a lot of people going physically in the track, a lot of fans who maybe still do not know enough regarding NLX, and we have to create more engagement as possible for the people. But also, you can think that motorsport is a great place for NLX to have to create new businesses.
mm.
So you have to create an area which is dedicated just to you in the paddock, where you can meet, for example, new people, or create some. It has to be an exclusive place. You have to
Mm,
create exclusivity. You know,
mm.
you have
Understood.
to let anyone think that what you can provide is something that no one else in the world can provide at the moment, which is, I think, true at the moment. If you are into the electric mobility world, no other companies, which is our competitors in the chargers area, can provide something like Moto E experience.
Mm,
So this is
hmm.
for us like, it's what we want everyone to see, to be like the, how to say it? It's like our showcase. It's like
Right.
something that everyone has to understand when they try to beat us.
Mm,
But you were correctly talking about doing the press officer, because before working in an LX, I did the press officer for a motorbike team in the Italian motorbike championship. It's called CIV. That team is called Team Rosso e Nero, and which is black and red team in English, which is kind
okay.
of fun.
Okay.
And they're working in the Super Sport 600,
Mm,
so with the Yamaha R6. And what they do, I'm still saying we, because it's like it was an incredible experience for me. I'm still a close friend with the team manager, so I'm keep following them as a fan. Sometime when I can, I still go to the track to helping them with
Right.
anything, because it was really a lovely experience for me, because it was my first experience in the motorbike world, which was something that I was waiting for a lot of time, for a lot
Mm,
of years.
right.
I started because at the beginning of 2016, I did a master, I think it's called, also in English, yeah,
Yep.
master study regarding communication and media in the motorsport. Because I had a contact. It was a crazy start, because it's like I don't know if you know Leo Turrini, which is maybe the most important Italian journalist regarding Formula One. And
No, I don't follow for it. Yeah.
at that time, he was promoting this master, because he was one of the teacher
Okay.
of this new master, which was really cool, because that master was in Maranello, which is the town where Ferrari is, with the factory where Enzo Ferrari lived, and so on. So
Yep.
a magic place for an Italian.
Of course.
So I thought about, wow, that there's an occasion like this in Maranello, with such an important journalist that I love from a lot of years, and so on. So I tried to applicate for the master, and the fact is that this journalist loved so much my presentation text, that he decided that I had to be inside, and without even paying the master. I was like his
Wow.
guest. So
Wow.
that was just the start of an incredible journey in Maranello for me, that was for a couple months.
Yeah.
And just after that, there was the superbike race in Imola.
Yeah.
So I went, as every year I did, but this time trying to reach with some team manager to say, hey, I'm trying to enter the world right now. I also have a master. I had like, for example, at that time in the Superbike Championship, there was another teacher of that master doing the press officer for an important team, which was Yoda Racing, that were running the Aprilia official bike at the time in the Superbike Championship. So he also let me create a path inside that world, because when you don't know everyone, you need at least someone who know you, what
That's
your
right.
potential are. So that master was really important to me, to let them see what I was capable of. And in that occasion, I met Roberto Adami, which is the team manager of the Team Rosso e Nero.
Hmm.
And he's running the Italian Championship, but he holds every year. He also do the wild card in the World Championship in the two Italian races in Imola and Misano. So I was saying, hey, you are an Italian small team, if I can say small, because they are big enough to race in every Italian championship, and also in the Italian races of the World Championship. But you're not big enough to be in every race of the World Championship. So maybe you need something that can help you with the communication to become as big as possible in the next few years.
Of
And he
course.
was excited of the thing, because something that maybe the people outside the paddock cannot really understand. And I know that someone is going to hate me for what I'm about to say, but most of the teams, also in the World Championship, know nothing about communications.
Okay.
That's the truth. I mean, if you see, for example, Formula One, they are really aware of how much important is to communicate online. But
Right.
in motorbike, I don't want to say any name right now, because there is a very important person of a big team in the MotoGP Championship that I became friend with in 2016. And talking about giving me a chance in that team, he told me like, but okay, you can do social networks, you can do press releases, but can you find me some new sponsors? And I was like, and that's not my job.
Mm,
I just can let you appear as best as I can to everyone's eyes, and just be sure that when it's going to happen, you will acquire also new sponsors for sure. But most of the people right there do not understand this simple connection.
mm,
They don't
right.
want a good communication. I mean, it's not that they don't want it. They
They don't
do not
understand the
understand.
value.
Yes,
Yeah.
they just want someone, some marketer that gives you some agency that gives you, hey, I know this company from my friend. They want to invest money on you. So in that moment, everyone is going to listen to you.
Right.
I tried a few months later with another friend of mine who is doing that job, and we were going together from a lot of teams asking for if they needed an help from us. And when I was talking about communication, nobody was listening to me.
Hmm.
Nobody,
Yeah.
almost nobody.
Yeah.
When my friend was going there to saying, "Hey, maybe I can help you with sponsor," everyone was like, "Okay, let's talk about it."
Listening. Yes.
So that was like that was really bad at the beginning. But
Huh.
I was lucky enough to find a man like Roberto from Team Rossonero, which really believes that you can start from nothing and create a team that is going to be on the World Championship in the next few years. So that's what he's going to do. He's trying to become a bit bigger every year. He understands that you do not arrive on the World Championship in 1 year, 2 year. You have to wait, you have to work, and I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Correct.
So
So
um, it was a great experience as a press officer with him. 3 years in the Italian Championship, I learned a lot, and it was the perfect way for me to go to Enel X and say, okay, if you need someone for the Moto E, I'm the man.
that's an awesome journey. I love hearing guys who like yourself who get to do awesome things because you believed in the project, you believe in the passion of just doing the best job you can. I think a lot of not children, but younger people today, and I work with a lot of university postgraduate students. Okay, so I work with a lot of guys in their early 20s to mid 20s, and one of the things that again, I don't want to stereotype too much, but one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of young people don't understand the value of believing in something and just keep going and don't stop, right? I think too often now with how quickly we get information from social media and internet everywhere else, a lot of people give up very, very quickly because they're like the path to like not success, but the path to fulfilling your happiness, right? You can do that very quick. You can watch a 30-second TikTok video make you smile for the rest of the day. You can look at a funny meme and make you laugh, for a whole week. Every time you see the meme, you laugh. So that short-term gratification, it's very, very easy to achieve, right? It's the long-term goals that is what gives you true satisfaction. So that being said, kind of last question here. What do you want to do next, and what do you want? Like, what is your next passion project?
Okay, this is a bit hard because if my if my chief hear this, maybe he's not going to be so happy. But
Yeah.
it's like
Okay.
I um, I just want to keep living my motorsport dream, nothing more than this, because I really love motorbikes. I also have one. I have an old Suzuki SV 650S,
Okay.
and for me the passion that is behind the motorsport is everything that's keep me dreaming day after day. So I know that in such a big company like Enel X is, a lot of people maybe do not understand this because they think that they want to create themselves a career to become a big manager or to do a lot of money or something like that. They are the average dream of who's working in a big company like this. My thoughts are slightly different. I want to live this, nothing
Mm-hmm.
more.
Mm.
I want to keep going to every single Moto E race to see how it's going to develop, to see year after year how bikes are going to become greater and greater, and then I want to buy one. That is my passion, and it's what
Yeah.
I want to keep doing in the next few years. So nothing more than this, but I also have to be honest, it's not going to be easy, because also inside my company there are a lot of other people who maybe want to do it in my place. So I
Right.
have to fight a bit to
No, I
stay where I
completely
am.
understand. Yeah, no, I completely understand. I think, yeah, again, I think what you're doing is awesome. I'm really looking forward to watching my first, Moto E race. I really hope it's gonna come within a month.
Yep.
And
Hope
again,
so.
yeah, thanks very much for taking your time out to speak with me tonight, or your nighttime,
Well,
my daytime. Yeah.
thank you. It was really a great experience, and I will keep following your podcast, and hopefully maybe one day we are going to have another interview like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe
Love
next
that.
year we will talk about how season 2 was. Hopefully, as most races we can.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Now, how do we follow you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, but mostly Instagram in the last few months. It's
Right.
just Marco Santini 91. It's
Okay.
not so difficult.
Nope, not at
And
all.
but I'm not too much into social, if I have to be honest, because I found you on social, so I'm every day I am into social for a lot of hours. But it's like when you already do that for your job, then at the end of the day, you like, I mean, I don't want to post too much about me, but it's mostly because I need to go offline a bit at the end
I
of the
get it.
day.
I
So
get it.
it's not because I don't have anything to say, but it's mostly because maybe I like to share pictures when I'm on track, because I'm so excited. So I just want everyone to understand how happy I am in that moment. But so in my everyday life, if we want to chat, I'm on, but I don't share too much, because I want to disconnect a bit.
Understood completely. It's what we say here, right? No person who makes pizzas for a living eats pizza after work, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly like this.